What's going on, fans of the Batman, and welcome back to Jones Vibes for another episode of news and theories and discussion about the Batman Part 2. So today I want to talk about three different things. I want to talk about the Joker's involvement in Part 2. I want to talk about the Clayface news, as well as all the insane rumors surrounding that, as well as why I think that the Batman Part 2 is going to be darker than you can possibly imagine. So hit the like button if you're a fan of the Batman, and let's dive in. And let's start with Joker. So we saw glimpses of Barry Keoghan's Joker in Part 1. There's that scene in Arkham, and then they released that deleted scene where Bruce goes to Arkham and basically uses him as a resource. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend going and looking it up. It's like a 6-minute clip, and it was deleted from Part 1, but it's pretty awesome. But there's clearly already an established history here between the two characters. And so my question is, are they going to use the Joker as more of a resource for Batman again, or is he going to be a main player and a main focus in the plot? I don't think he's going to be one of the main players. A lot of the rumors suggest that he is just going to be more of a resource, kind of sidelined again. But then we have that series about Arkham right in between Part 2 and Part 3. And so maybe you're going to have him in Part 2 a little bit, and then you have him in that series, kind of build up his character, and then he is the end-all in Part 3, like the main villain, and that's how you finish the trilogy. I think it could be a really cool through line, just having the Joker in all three movies. And honestly, Matt Reeves kind of just plays by his own rules, so you can expect anything at this point. He clearly doesn't mind having multiple villains in one movie. He's already showcased that, so he could just go buck wild and have Clayface and the Joker be like the main villains for Part 2, but who knows? But speaking of Clayface, this is insane to me because it's been heavily rumored that he is at least a part of the script so far, being written by Matt Reeves and Peter Craig. As always, take this with a grain of salt because nothing is confirmed, but the talks about Mr. Freeze being the main villain have definitely quieted, and now there's heavy rumors that Clayface is the guy. Or monster. And so how could they pull this off? I think we can obviously say that Matt Reeves isn't gonna have a big glob of clay running around in this movie. That's just not gonna happen. You know, hopefully we see that maybe down the line in one of the DCU Batman projects. I think Gunn's universe is gonna be a lot more fantastical. But as for Reeves, I think they're gonna have to take more of like the Basil Carlo route. You know, maybe he's like an actor and he goes mad and he starts killing a bunch of people in Gotham and he's using a costume as Clayface or some version of that. You know, he doesn't have to be an actor. There's so many different iterations of Clayface, but maybe he's like a master of disguise and he wears a clay mask. Or maybe he's like super disfigured. I don't really know the direction they're gonna go with it. Personally, I'm at a little bit of a loss with the whole thing because I just can't think of a good way to incorporate Clayface. When it was announced that the Riddler was gonna be the villain for Part 1, I was like, okay, sweet. I can see how you could adapt that and make it a little bit darker. But with Clayface, I just don't know. It's a tough one, especially if you're not gonna have the fantastical big clay monster that everybody associates with Clayface. But I have a lot of faith after Part 1 in Matt Reeves. I can guarantee he's gonna come up with something brilliant. I just can't quite see it yet. Please let me know all of your thoughts down in the comments about this. I'd love to hear from you because, like I said, there's so many iterations of Clayface. I can't even picture what they could do. So let me know if you have any ideas. And that's also a pretty good segue because I do want to open this up to be a bit more of a discussion about the Batman Part 2. I'm really kind of in this obsessed mode right now with the Batman. The Batman itself has become like a comfort movie for me, so I've just been throwing it on all the time. But I'm obsessed with speculation and theories about what could possibly happen in the Batman Part 2. I know we're getting the Penguin series, and then that's going to be going into it, but there's just a lot to talk about. Obviously, when we left the Part 1, the city was underwater, and the Penguin series is going to fill in a lot of those power grab gaps, but what is Bruce going to be doing? Is he going to be taking more of a role in rebuilding the city with Bella Real? I think so. I think for a fact you're going to see a much more involved Bruce Wayne. And then since he's going to be out and about rubbing shoulders with people, with that is going to come the introduction of one district attorney, Harvey Dent. And y'all, I have to say this. After seeing Oppenheimer and seeing Josh Hartnett in that movie, he has to be Harvey Dent. Like, he has to be. If it's Joel Edgerton, so be it. You know, I mean, that would be totally fine too. But I just feel like Josh Hartnett has this career trajectory right now that is heading straight towards the Batman. And I think he would be perfect as Harvey Dent, and I also think he would be perfect as Two-Face. He was known when he was younger for these darker roles. He was in Halloween H2O. He was in The Faculty, Zeke. It's just interesting since that rumor surfaced online. Like, I can't get that out of my head now. But as for the character of Harvey Dent, I think he's definitely going to be a part of this movie, but I don't think we're going to see the turn to Two-Face quite yet. And if we do, it would be towards like the very end of the movie, setting up part 3. I think that the main focus in this coming movie is just going to be the parallel of a very public Bruce now and a very public Batman now. In part 1, Batman started out in the shadows, but then he literally helped save the city. And same with Bruce. He was being very much a recluse in part 1, but then you see him go out to the funeral, and maybe he's going to start working with the city and trying to get out there a little bit more. I think that we could also see maybe some sort of vigilante hate for Batman in this movie, kind of like BVS. You might see some hate, you might see some praise, but obviously now that a vigilante has revealed themselves to the city, as they say in BVS, it's obvious that he would be a figure of controversy. And so Bruce and Batman are both in this very strange position, and with Batman, it's probably drawing a lot of attention from villains. And I think potentially you could see a lot. I mean, we're obviously going to have the Joker. We're obviously going to have the Riddler. We're probably going to have Catwoman, and we'll see how Selena Kyle, I know she was kind of a good guy in part 1, but I don't know. Maybe things take a turn a little bit in this second movie. Maybe they'll also introduce somebody like Dr. Jonathan Crane, or maybe they'll save him for the Arkham series. I don't know. But with Bruce coming into his own and Batman being a savior of the city, it almost sounds like this is going to be a fun movie. But guys, I'm just throwing this out there. I think that this is going to be the darkest Batman movie that we've ever seen. I know that Zack Snyder has been praised for having that super dark vision, but just look at the Batman Part 1 and look at how dark and gritty it is. And so when you think about where we could go from here, I think that Reeves is absolutely going to subvert expectations and take things to a place of disparity that breaks Bruce psychologically. It's only fitting to me, and it would be the proper way to do a trilogy. I've said this before on my channel, but this is kind of like my ideal structure of a trilogy. Part 1, the good guy wins and learns something from it. Part 2, the bad guys win and the hero is kind of left in despair. Part 3, the hero learns from all of that and ends up saving the day and completing their story arc, completing their journey. There's a lot of examples of this: Avatar: The Last Airbender, the original trilogy for Star Wars. Like, it works perfectly. And so that's what I would suggest, but obviously it's not up to me. But again, this is all just speculation. We don't really know much at this point, but that's why I want to make Jones Vibes a place where Batman fans can come and hang out and just talk about all this and theorize and speculate about all of it, because I love it. I love Batman. And honestly, I did want to ask you guys if you could do me a favor. So I've been a Batman fan all my life, but just because of the movies. Like, that's it. And so I've finally been diving into the comics and into the graphic novels. I've read Batman Year One, I've read The Long Halloween, I've read Hush, and now I'm currently starting the Batman New 52 run. But if you guys have any suggestions on comics, graphic novels, content that I could read, it would be greatly appreciated. So please put it down in the comments for me to see, and also put your theories and questions down there. I'd love to feature a couple questions in the next video, so assuming there are a couple down there, I would love to do that. So please put them down there. But hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and remember to keep up the good vibes. The Batman Part 2 is on the way, and I couldn't be more excited.
Jones Vibes.